Oh, that doesn't work either. All right. Wow, that is like really bright. Ah, that helps. That's weird. Trying to check everything. Weird. All right, let's see if that works. Hello. I am still messing with the camera. What? Whoa. Bright. Hmm. Very bright. Don't know why. Hmm. Hello. Ba 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 ba. It's kind of showing. Fantastic. Fantastic. Whoosh. Yeah, kind of a last minute as I'm going, is everything working? How are you doing, Jonathan? Right. Good, good. That is it. I tried to figure out why it was so bright, but I honestly can't quite figure it out right now. It failed. All of my attempts. Okay, got two. I'm giving it a few minutes for everyone, so that's kind of why I'm like kind of just messing with things. And also throwing me because I'm going, there are differences. There are changes. I have questions, but they're normally not really creature related. Start laying some wisdom. Yes, yeah, I have quite a few actually that would uh, surprise people. Like let's see. Octurians. They are kind of cool. You do have them up in 5D though too, but they really have their differences in 4D. Like, which ones are those anyway? Like, because I don't really know much about the 4D. I never really go that low, like the other me. Pretty much lowest I go is 5D. I think so. I think those guys tend to stay on the same side. Granted, all of those guys in 4D, they're always fighting. I don't care if they're on like the light side or the dark side or any of that. They love infighting. Only those two do it like sneakily. Like like the pigeon types, they always do it like sneaky fighting, whereas like the more geckos, those guys are always more like way more straightforward. They're more Sith like. Which I don't know how much you want to hear about them and their fighty ways. Quad entities. Oh, yeah. Most of those guys are pretty much primarily 4D phone call. Um, yeah, most of those guys. Now, if you want to talk about some interesting 4D ones, um, like fun fact is like on 4D you have xenomorphs. They're an actual race out there in 4D. Sandra, doesn't it make sense that some 4D aliens and other creatures might also be headed to 5D, or have most of the ones that are going to 5D gone already? There's always a fluctuation of going up and down. The 4D, like the long-term 4D people, they don't really, to my knowledge, they don't really have like a giant whoosh like going up. Whereas like the 4D up and down, that that's been a thing longer, so it's not like a giant thing. And normally most of those guys, like the Arcturians and the Pleiadians and the Sirius, the Syrians, I think that is what they're called. All of those guys, when they um, raise up, they pretty much, once they're in 5D, they kind of stop being said species, and they go off to be whatever they used to be. So if a Octurian goes up to 5D, then they remember who they are. So odds are they're not going to stay an Octurian. They'd much rather go off and go back to having fun where they used to be. Let's see here. Jonathan, what were we called, or were what we called ascended masters won those? Or are they just regular humans that got over? Oh, uh, yeah, most of the ascended masters, they got overly worshipped. Pretty much every single one of them. Which is kind of whenever they got the arrogance and the god complex and they went downhill. No worries, no worries. And that still happens. I mean, most of the new age people as a whole, they're kind of all doing that simultaneously right now, getting that overly worshipped thing. Like, yeah. Hell, even Gandhi got over worshipped and then he was killed. Um, like the real Jesus, he got killed whenever he got too invested in the human. He was killed. Um, yeah, so honestly, being an ascended master or anyone like that, that's like heavy, heavy risk because, like, pretty much, I don't think any of them success not have that happen, or at least be famous and do it. Trying to fix this. Yeah, but like the 4D creatures, um, honestly, a lot of those guys, like I know more about the Syrians. Then if I do know much about the 4D ones, then it's like the predators and the Avatar world and all of those guys. Because the interesting thing about like the Z, not those places were created after they were created here in movie form, and then they were created in 4D as an actual race on an actual planet. So that makes them pretty interesting. Um, just that's how it happened. Um, so yeah, I think those are more interesting personally. But yeah, the super pigeons. Back to Sandra, back to 5D. What is the best approach? Be happy and be in nature. Don't freakish. Yeah, honestly, that's spot on. Um, you do need to take a little bit into account with your human body. Your body is going, it is you and it's not you. It has a mind of its own in a sense, as well as it is you. So berating it will do more detriment. Um, so you need to give it a little bit of slack while you're going up, trying to raise to 5D. Because stop it, then you'll be hurting your body while it's struggling to raise with you, and it'll actually cause you to make it be either like a lot slower in your rising or just like stop you completely. So you really need to take care of your body in the process. Yeah, the bodies tend to get overlooked a lot, the human bodies. Um, that's where a little bit of there's a little bit of struggle with the concept that with people taking it too far of this is a dream, because then they don't account for their bodies. And then that gives them a lot of struggling in the process. And they actually, some of them have even gone backwards because of that. Um, Actually, the fear lives in several of the bodies. Like, that's why, like, the first time you'll see a magical creature, you're gonna have, like, a jolt of fear, and, that's gonna be mainly your body reacting to it. Just kind of be that's why it's very important to be kind of kind, and you're reassuring and going, "No, no, I got this, it's okay, there's nothing to be afraid of," because that's your body. But there are a couple other, bodies on the level of them that will also have fear, like your emotional body. That one needs to be taken care of, and also because that one has a lot of fear too. It's all good. Let's see. Yeah, I don't. Uh, from the little bits that I've looked up, I haven't seen people talk too much about the different. So how much of that do you guys know or want to know? I'm looking over here because your chat's over here. I guess I'll just kind of jabber while I'm waiting for responses. I know it takes a bit to kind of type them out and stuff. Repeat that. All of it? Um, there are most people, they talk about um the bodies, and they body, and then your spirit self. Right? That's a common one that I see being talked about, but there are a lot more. I know I've heard mom talk about it a little bit, that there's, like, so many more that people don't, know about or acknowledge, that are your body, but they're different bodies. So, like, you have the physical body, and then you have the emotional body, or, like, intellectual body, and, they go up and down, and they kind of layer on top of each other. And so it's not just spirit and physical. There are a lot more other ones. And yeah, so your physical body will have a lot of fear, but so you'll also have some fears that come through from your. Did that make sense? 'Cause they don't have any fear and no trauma or anything, so they'll actually be a lot closer to, like, your spirit self, your higher self and all that. So they'll help you raise, because they don't have any traumas and hangups from this life. Let me know if that made sense or not. I'm actually not used to talking about them much, but I did. I found out about them whenever I was started healing mom, uh, to help her through some of her body traumas, because she said that a lot too, that she's energy based, so she doesn't do much in with the physical. Um, so yeah, I found out about, like, all of the other bodies that way. Talk about how. Okay, I'm breaking up. Oh no. All right, let me check these. All right, I'm breaking up some, but um, well, the physical body is most of their fears will be from uh, stuff that can hurt them, or things that have hurt them in the thing that you you are expecting, but your body is not expecting because it's never been around it, like the magical creatures for the first time. That'll scare the physical body. You'll actually feel it in your body. Whereas if something scares you, but you don't feel it in your body, and like it's just more along the lines of a emotion, well, then you'll know that that's a fear of your emotion body. So you can meditate and like because really just like you raise up and you merge with your higher self, all of those bodies are going to and try to find them and kind of try to bring them together, and in the process you'll like you'll start to know like if you have a knee jerk reaction and it's not in your but you don't feel it in your body per se, like cuz like uh, when you're high up place and you're on the edge and your body just kind of tenses up, right? Like that's obviously a physical body, but you can like just feel it everywhere in your body. um that would be a good way to tell whenever it's your physical body that's scared. Like it's like almost minuscule in comparison to your knee jerk of fear. So then you kind of look or you ask your higher self to kind of look and see which one it is that is reacting. And but the easiest way really is to just like acknowledge that you have all of them, and then just every time you get that fear, just kind of talk to all of them. Just say I so that'd probably be the easiest way to do it, would just be to acknowledge everyone and make them all feel comforted. That'd probably be the best. Jonathan, does the physical body have anniversary memories of past physical traumas, or is that a thought form that becomes somatic? Your body does have its own anything that is like, okay, a loved one hurts you, well, that would actually affect both your physical. So, whereas something that's only physical, like it's not attached to emotions, then that would be a so kind of think of it in that term. So, like, I know also mom always talks about like, try to keep in like remember yourself that there's the you, and then you have like the working person you, like the boss you, or the employee you, the mom you, the child you, all you, but they're different aspects of you. So if whatever fear or trauma relates to all of these one body, then you know it's that body. But expect several of them to relate to several of the bodies because they all experienced it um, through well, like the getting because they'd both be affected. Now, eventually, as we go up and up and up, then those will be less. Jonathan, Steph, can you talk about walk-ins being switched or body hijacking? Well, first off, body hijacking is a little bit of a misnomer word because no one can kick you out of your body. That almost like me sounds like someone can do it without your permission, which can never happen. Um, so that's the thing. You have to allow it for it to happen. Are really just the someone wants to come in and play and someone's getting a little bit tired, so they agree to switch places. Um, or a lot of times, especially with this raising in vibrations thing, you have a lot of bodies that are by entities that want to go down or want to stay in 4D. So instead of just like uh, forcing the body in a way, like it's kind of open. So say someone wants to experience the raise, so they'll just talk to someone who has a body right now that wants to lower, and so then they'll just agree to switch, so the person that's going lower can be incarnated and go down instead of harming the raising process or fighting higher level. But yeah, it's pretty much all like kind of people talking in D&D kind of going, okay, I kind of want to change this, so do you want to take it? Okay, sweet. It's very D&D esque. Sandra says, all have all sorts of cautionary tales, total BS, absolutely BS, or lower dimensional members. No, there are no lower dimensional members of those races. Pretty much what happened was as we started lowering, like, whenever we were like X high, and my favorite kind of humans, the 5D humans, they got along great with all of the leprechauns and fairies and all of them. They agreed to start going downward, and so they just started becoming more and more fearful of everything. So whenever that started happening, they started fearing the trolls, like the scary one, happy and nice, and started seeing them as bad because they looked bad. So then that kind of went more and more and more, even to the not scary. It's kind of a very slow fear cycle, and it's almost like in like Lord of the Rings, whenever they said like common knowledge became stories, stories became legend, legend became myth, and then once eventually it was forgotten. That's very similar to how the progression of humans and all of the Fae folk used to be friends, and then they became uh, scary things that had all of these cautionary tales, and humans started saying, "Oh, they're scared of like iron hurts them," which is bull. But but humans needed something to like something to defend them against these things as they got more and more scared. Um, so in the context that they were real at one point and they just became stories. And that's kind of the downward progression. Very the fairies especially, but really all of the magical creatures got really sad about it because they all love humans. They love playing with humans. They love being around humans. Of course, they knew that humans were going to do that, but it did. They lost their buddies. So, uh, yeah. So actually, that's why they're so happy that this whole raise is happening because they get their friends back. The most interesting magical creature. I kind of love all of them. So, I mean, I really enjoy the ones that's just because they don't have to counteract any bad stories. So, they don't have much that they're going to have to fight against. Um, and it always kind of makes me cringe a little every time I'm reading a story about a leprechaun getting caught, and I'm just like cringing, going, "No, you can't do that." And it kind of messes with the whole thing. Um, but yeah, like one of them that I'm looking forward to what's considered the monsters under the bed. I'm very happy. I'll be very happy when they come back because um, obviously they do not scare children. They don't eat children. They don't kidnap children. None of the above. What they do is they protect children. That was what they would always do, like make sure they stayed happy. And they're, of course, pranksters. So what they loved to do was keep the children up until like 5 a.m. playing with them. So that was about as bad as they got. Is they didn't want to stop playing with the kids, so they would keep them up all night. Very fun group of phase, actually. Mermaids messed with, I'd say, out of all of the story, pretty accurate. The funny enough, the biggest thing that they messed with was the male mermaids, which I thought was very funny. That they turned them kind of into these like monstrous, like giant fish, aggressive things, and it's so not accurate at all. The guy fairies, I mean the guy mermaids, they're as beautiful and obsessed with their hair as the girls are, and they sing just as much as the girls. They're very similar, and they're all very pretty, very pretty. um they love singing, and they do love with they'll take bits of seaweed and they'll turn them into accessories in their hair, and they love pearls, and they love they would interact with humans. They didn't really help or hurt or anything. They just kind of were like, "Oh, hey, humans in a ship. Hi." Or like, if they would go up to the shores, and so they'd swim with humans and help take them down further than what humans could normally go. Jonathan, yes, they're very under his bed, his friend, little boy monster, he called him. Yep, very much friends. A lot of them like to portray themselves as little kids. The only time they change to looking more evil looking is some kids like that. Like me whenever I was little, Mr. Grin, he looks terrifying as hell, but I thought it was hilarious, so that was the form he chose. He's not a monster under the bed, but similar concept. Um but yeah, a lot of times they'll be more looking like the similar age. That's what they like to do. The monsters under the bed, the monsters in the closet. They're actually what kids call imaginary friends a lot of the time. Um, and so it's really funny, like the friends and the monsters. Scared of the monsters. Yay, imaginary friends. Well, they're actually a lot of times the same thing. And the monsters is just a fear because anytime they do show themselves to kids, they're very happy and friendly and they love playing games. Anytime a kid comes up with this random game that no one understands how they know it, yeah, that's normally one of them that is responsible for that, which is very funny. Um, but yeah, sirens were messed with since they were messed with a lot. They never ever led sailors to their death. They were the sirens were the main ones that kind of taught humans how to sail along the way. Like they'd always warn them of the dangers under the water that they broke their boat and started to sink. Like total polar opposite. And the humans you knew how to understand the songs that sirens sung, and it was their way of like telling them from a distance, like, "Hey, watch out from here," or "Yay, good sign," or "There's a storm coming," which way it's coming from, all of that kind of stuff. And but sirens are only female, whereas mermaids you have both male or female. Sirens are always female. Oh, the other thing about mermaids is last few years you've seen a whole bunch of increase in mermaids that are have different like lower bodies. So they have like octopus and various fish and all of that, which that's very nice to like the Little Mermaid style, but there are all of the other ones. Those are absolutely 100% there and true. Sandra, what they're giants. Oh yeah. Um, Giants are a thing, but really they're more like there's a type of fae that is just a shapeshifter, and they cannot stop changing what they look like. It's their favorite game, and typically those are giants. So they are real. They're not a specific race like that because they're always changing. So 1 second, the giant will turn into being about like yay tall, or they decide that they want a frog mouth, or they decide they're going to stay a giant, but they're going to be made out of sticks. They're always changing, always changing. There are a few that prefer to just stay like giants, like you would think of, but even they like to. Fae are typically very impatient, and they're always moving and changing and doing stuff. Like the mermaids, that a lot of times they'll change what their lower half looks like, or they'll change the color of their hair all the time. Giants also like to change whether or not they have wings or not because they think that looks funny. Uh, they're big on funny. Yeah, but actually, I don't even know. I mean, I suppose there are 4D giants, but the only giants I really know about are the 5D and up kind. Let's see. Then trying to think of the in the vein. Oh, one of them that I am writing about is like so I wrote about the leviathan, considering he's been one that's been really messed up too. Um, considering he's like one of them that's like a storyteller. Uh, a lot of entities go to listen to him tell stories. So a lot of times, even creatures that don't normally like to be water based, they don't like to really be mermaid esque. They'll go aquatic just so they can go and listen to the Leviathan stories because he can tell you the the leviathans, all of them, because they're across games. They don't go to the different games, but they know about them and they know them to tell stories about them. So they're very fun to be around. But if a human saw them, then like their eyeball is bigger than a human. So just the simple size factor, it would scare humans. So yeah. Ooh, I'm currently being attacked by a puppy. That's why I keep looking around. um, let's see here. Jonathan, did the dinosaurs truly die off, or did they move to 5D? Actually, dinosaurs, yeah, they went up. They went to 5D. So yeah, you can when you're up in 5D, you can totally meet all of the dinosaurs, and it'll be a lot more fun than in the Jurassic Park movies because you can actually talk to them there. And yeah, they're pretty cool. They are very reptilian. They're a positive reptile. Not all that happens. A lot of reptiles are good, and dinosaurs would be under that listing. Sandra, so do we have a choice what we encounter first? Can we call a particular type or perhaps be called? Um, well, a lot of times what I'm seeing is that a lot of humans they're going to start seeing what they are more used to because they grew up with stories, specifically the stories where they weren't very um, they're not something to be feared. So that's why a lot of flower fairies are going to be first because they never really got pegged as being like dark or evil or malicious in any way. So I see that being a first for a lot of people. A lot of leprechauns will be first for the similar reasons. They're pranksters and they'll kind of mess with you, but they're not seen as inherently evil in any stories. If you can, like, if you don't have a fear of them and you really like them, then absolutely, you can call them to be around you, to try to help you get high enough to see them. They're more than happy to pester around you and kind of like zip around you until you can see them. It'll be different ones because none of them have very long attention spans, so they're gonna specific one that you really want to see, then, honestly, they probably already know and are probably already around you waiting for you to, get high enough, to see them. And be prepared, they will laugh their ass off whenever the first time you see them and you jump or you're scared in any way, they're gonna be laughing. Absolutely, they're gonna be laughing. Uh, there'll probably be a lot of, Bigfoot too. In the with the last one with the being called, um, that's more of a like mutualness. So, I mean, in a way, yes, and in a way, no. Because you'll see what your most you don't fall back because that's they don't want you to fall back. They want to play with you. um, But yeah, so it'll probably be a little bit for quite a few people to get to the more scary. A lot of the crypto people, they'll probably see the more scary ones first, um, just because that's what they're actually looking for now. So, and they're kind of semi prepared, or at least as prepared as they can be. So they'll have like the jolt, but then they'll be so excited that they finally saw it. So a lot of the crypto guys, a lot of people will probably see a lot of elves. Those would be a good segue. And there's a lot of elf obsession, and they're more than happy to. Even though that one, how honestly, considering elves are so humanoid looking, it would take a lot for you to realize that they're not human. Really? Other one, Sandra, that you're wanting to see? Or hell, Jonathan. Do you have anyone that you wanting to see? Ah, yeah, no, I hear you. That's happened several times to me with the few that mom's done. So, Jonathan, do you have any creatures that you're especially interested in seeing? Not especially from Sandra. Um, just want to. Well, that'd be nice. So, um, yeah, just doing a big open one, then yeah, that and as long as you're kind of if you are talking to your body a lot and talking to yourself a lot about really wanting to see everyone, all of the magical creatures, then that'll open it up to a lot of them um, being around you a lot. So whenever you see them, there's a good chance if you do it that way that you'll kind of walk into a party. Like there's like 50 different fey creatures all going, "Hey, she finally saw me. Yay, let's have a party." That kind of thing might happen. Uh, Especially if you're out in nature a lot, because they love nature. So you'll be surrounded by a lot of different kinds. Um, so yeah, and that would make their day too. Um, let's see. And Jonathan, you'd be mermaids. Well, mermaids stick to the ocean a lot, the beaches. They actually do like the beaches. They're there a lot anyway, and most beaches, or not very far away from the beach, and they like to watch the humans. Um, like like a lot of people are talking about all of the aliens and stuff that are watching the planet. We have a whole bunch of magical creatures that are here just like hopping up and down with excitement, watching all of the humans, trying to be the first ones to be seen. Because they're all just super, super happy about the finally, we're gonna have our friends back. Uh, Moving them around. I'm getting eaten by a puppy. So yeah, let's see. Oh, there's also a lot. Actually, if you do want mermaids, they're not exactly mermaids, but there's a good chance, Jonathan, you might wind up fairies that are kind of akin. They like to hang out with the flower fairies a lot, but they're like micro mermaids with dragonfly wings. They almost always have. Their favorite is tiny creeks that move fast, but they also like rivers and stuff. Best would be those little guys because they're kind of half fairy and half mermaid in a way, in personality and stuff. And they're tiny mermaids. Jonathan, are there any that are human hybrid in addition to the merfolk and half horse? Well, you have the minotaur for one. Those are real. You have quite a few of them that are still in stories that are real, like because you have the harpies. Harpies are real. They're half bird and half human. Um, Very nice, by the way. Sphinxes, they're real. Um, they're actually really cool. Very serious, but very cool. Um, then let's see. Other that are there's another aquatic that is half human, half fish, but they're not like mermaids. They don't have a tail. Or I mean, they have a tail actually, but they have human legs with fins on them to help them swim. They call themselves uh, Sinayoi. They actually hang out with the Leviathan a lot. You never really see them or talk about them. They're not in any stories. But they're almost like a straight half and half between fish and um, human, and they do a lot of they taught a lot of water magic way, way, way back in the day, but they've been completely they tend to stay in like the deep ocean, very, very, very far down in the bottom of the ocean. Um, but yeah, they have their hair are giant fins that kind of sway back and forth, and they change them to be different hairstyles and stuff. They're very magic based. Um, I'm gonna were spirits of hot springs. Do magical creatures have hangouts like that to specific areas? like particular lakes or that sort of thing. There are there are definitely creatures. Um, everyone it's a lot similar to like people have preferences. You know, you have some people that prefer snowy mountains. There are some people that prefer the desert. There's all sorts of that kind of preferences, and that's more how it is with the fairies. They have those same preferences. It's not that they won't, they don't have any interest into those places, so stay to their interests. So, oh no, don't you do it. So yeah, there's a lot of hangouts actually. Like, let's see, the uh, one of the primaries that hang out in deserts would be the Jinn. There's not a overwhelming amount of magical creatures that prefer deserts, mainly because it's broken. The Jinn are just kind of stubborn. They're like, no, this is we like stay here and help it kind of stop being a desert. Then you have the mermaids that prefer water, and then you have the flower fairies. They prefer gardens, any kind of garden. Um, Bigfoot, you really won't see anywhere outside of uh, very dense forests. You actually have a lot of fae that prefer to hang out in or around volcanoes, and they don't really go anywhere else. Like, so yeah, there's a lot of them that hang out around Stonehenge. They like Stonehenge a lot. They also like tines. The flower fairies do love hanging out around fairy rings. And they have quite a few that are like similar to flower fairies, but they're not flower fairies. But they always have parties. If there is a ring of mushrooms, there is a party going on there with lots of music, lots of Jonathan, I was fixated on witches as what kind of witches? Balder. Like the classic kind of witch, like the stair tales. Yeah, like the Hansel and Gretel witch and that kind of thing. Those are pure stories, I'm afraid. That was a demonization of witches and pagans way back in the day, and it's kind of just stuck around. So that is not a type of magical creature in any way. It was actually just a way to we use kind of a way to make the people that remembered the old ways to go. So yeah, pretty much all story. Balder, my goodness. But the deities, they are real. I don't like the 4D versions of them, so I try not to look there because that's where they're like really arrogant and the infighting. They're really cool. I really like them if you go up high enough. Let's see. Yeah, actually, that they'd actually fall. A lot of the deities up in 5D, they would be considered human animals. And they're all really cool. If you talk to them and they're 5D or up, they're very cool. Love all of them. Um, it's part of the annoying whenever people start treating them like gods, like Christian gods, because that is where the 4D versions of them are, and they are just as bad as him. Very obnoxious. I don't care for them in that level at all. Stop. That's it. You are in timeout. Timeout. Say hello. Hello. Yes. You evil thing. Leprechauns. Leprechauns are really cool though. Oh, did you know actually Tolkien? Yes, this is a magical puppy. A magical giant puppy. He thinks he's a cat right now. Don't know why. But um but yeah, Tolkien, he befriended doesn't matter exactly where you are. If you raise yourself high enough, raised himself high enough that he could still interact with the world and he could still have a leprechaun friend. Um, so that made it Very interesting. All right, Jonathan, non-creature question that just popped in. Are there any physical places that act as portals to 5D and up? I'm thinking of Bermuda Triangle. Um, well, let's see. In a sense, there are places where it kind of thins the way that you can kind of look in through a mirror. Um, Part of what's happening with those vortexes in the desert is those vortexes are fixing the planet in those dead zones. And one of the side effects is that you can see glimpses of 5D there, which is why a lot of people have a lot of really cool stories if they hang around those portals, like in New Mexico and around there. Um, there's also like Bermuda Triangle. Yeah, that is one of the places. A lot of places think that's why Stonehenge is where it is, because I think that's a place like that. Also, there's also a lake, kind of over in that desert area, that big giant lake, California esque. I'm forgetting the name of it, but that's a portal in a way, like because you can see if you go there, you are able to see pterodactyls, and they're really there. They're just hanging out. Jonathan, glad you said that about the dead zones. I didn't think there were such places. Oh, massive. Yeah, massive. Um, Mainly the broken places are all deserts. Nowhere on this planet should there ever be a desert. That is not how this planet was set up. That is if you see a desert, you are looking at a wound on the planet. So, but those are them. That's why I think I think most people, there's probably a divide between people that really love the desert, and they're there because it is so broken. And then you have the other half of the people that are drawn there and love it as a way to heal it, because loving it will heal it faster than anything else. Um, so, in healing those areas to make them green again. 5D experiences besides Tolkien. Let's see here. Are we talking only books, or anyone? Considering there are also movies that have done that. Let's see here. Other artists, authors in the author realm. You have there's this newest book series that I found. She played it. She made it more human. So there's like strife and stuff happening. You know, like Lord of the Rings did. He had to put something conflicting in it to have it be a story called The Others, and that planet minus the Discord is a place in 5D. Um, and that's actually where, because the in her books she did, but she brought in talking about um, creatures that were shapeshifters and or thing that they changed into, but they were first and foremost other. They were this other group. So, and they almost always, they're like the werewolves, uh, as most people talk about them. In her books, they're wolves that happen to turn into humans, but they're always wolf first. And she does that with crows and gorgons and several different other species. Like she has panther guard and snakes, and they're always that animal first, and they happen to turn into human. Real, and that is very true. And it was really cool to see someone actually talk about them, because like before her, for the most part, it was always, you know, humans that turn into animals. But there are a lot of them that are animal first, and then they happen to turn into humans. So very happy to see her. But yeah, her name is Anne Bishop, and even though there's a lot of conflict in the books, I love the book series. So if you like books, you might want to check her out. Um, then let's see. Um, Barnabas. Barnabas is a trilogy. It is actually called Barnabas Trilogy, and that one does a interesting mix of 5D and 4D in kind of a nice way. But he does which they are absolutely not demons. No, not even a little bit. So, and it's very nice to see Jinn being portrayed differently, because they're actually really cool. Let's see. So you got the Barnabas. I'm blanking on the name of the author, but if you typed in Barnabas trilogy, you'd find them. Then Avalon, but that's a kid's book, so I don't know if either of you would really like to read those. But Avalon actually has a lot of 5D concepts, but that's mainly 5D Earth that it kind of goes into. But so yeah, that's one that I reread a lot, mainly because it does have a lot of 5D aspects. A couple that are 4D, not 5D, but they're 4D. One is Animorphs. That is an actual real place and occurrence in 4D. And with the aliens that can morph into animals as long as they get the DNA and all of that stuff, and it can be that ability can be granted to humans. That whole thing, that's a 4D place. The other one that's a 4D place is Pendragon series. That's a real 4D place also. Um, let's see. Forgotten Realms. Forgotten Realms is a more 5D esque. Of course, you have to take all conflict out of all of the except for the 4D ones. The 4D ones, they're actually spot on. But all of them that are 5D in their books, you got to take out the conflict because there's no conflict up there. But yeah, so there's a surprising amount in fantasy literature that are real places. Like the Avatar movie, that one is a 5D place. Anne McGuffrey has a book called Crystal Singer that seemed based on something real to me. I've actually never heard of that one, but I'll definitely go grab it and read it, and then I can let you know. I'm always looking for new books, so either way, I'm like going score new book. Um, Alas, my books are gone, or else I'd take quick glances because a lot of them that I read or reread are real places because it helps me remember, and it also helps with like the homesickness thing. So I read a lot to counteract the homesickness. Um, blah 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 blah. Trying to blank. Let's see here. Stop. Always with this. Trying to remember. Blanking on actual movies. There's a place like these are movies, not books, but like Legend. Legend is a real 5D. Um, only difference, of course, there is no like dark, like real dark, not evil, not bad, but dark. And then you have like the unicorns and the fairies, and they're light, and they don't hang out much just because they have different interests. It's very similar to how the elves and the dwarves, they don't hate each other, but they just don't really have many interests, so they don't get along, so they don't talk often. Um, but other than that, legend is very real. Um, Dark Crystal's a real place. One last question. What are the Jinn really all about? What sets them apart from other magical creatures? I really like Jinn. I always have. I've actually had friends with Jinn friends a year or two that I found out a lot of people see them as demons. I had no idea. Jinn are, they were Arabic pagan tribe magical creatures. And so they interacted with the Arabic pagans a lot. They're kind of a type of elemental. Um, in a way, they control the elements. They enjoy messing with the elements. They're a trickster breed. So whenever human play a prank on a human to kind of teach him a lesson, in the best sense of the word, to actually kind of show them, hey, you're kind of messing up here. But they were tricksters in that sense. They can work with all elements, but their favorite is fire. Then they're typically seen as fire Jinn, even though they can be any of them, but they just love the fire aspect, so that's just their favorite. Um, they can be male or female, and they can look like humans. They can look like humans with whatever element they like. So, like a fire one could have fire hair, or a water one could have water hair. Or they can be more incorporeal, so they're just the manifestation of their element. And to again, kind of like midway, like closer on the coming down spectrum, they were known as the mediators between the humans and the deities in the Arabic pagan tribes. And that was very true. They really did do that. Whenever humans started having trouble talking to the deities and asking for advice directly and getting the answers, then the jinn would be the mediators between the two. Um, but yeah, very fun, very, very, very similar to whatever their favorite element is. So the fire ones are very energetic and very never stop moving, never stop moving. Whereas the earth ones are very like calm and chill and solid, like very much you could like lean on them because they never, ever, ever uh, falter, in that way. But no, I really like the Jinn. I've always really liked the Jinn. Let's see. Jonathan, I told Nye about the movie Lost Horizon, black and white, 1937, about Shangri-La in the Himalayas. I don't know, but I haven't been talking to her that often because she's been very, very, very busy. I know I've never seen the movie because I don't really watch a lot of black and whites. Very, very, very busy. But yeah. So, looks like it's actually been an hour. So I think that's a pretty decent place to stop this. Hopefully this was entertaining. Hopefully you had some fun. Um, hopefully answered some questions about ones you liked and gave you interest in thinking about the ones that are not as commonly known. But yeah, so um, let's see. The next live stream, Mom should be back, and it should be all good and stuff. So yeah, and then of course, if you guys liked it, then I can come on every now and then and do these in as well. um, but yeah, so I'll definitely talk to you guys next live stream because like it'll be Mom in the video, but I'll be talking in the chat room. And I had a lot of fun. I always like talking about them. Love talking about them. Pretty much any of the magical creatures. So, but yeah, so I think I'm gonna end it. So, bye. Bye, bye, bye.